Okay guys, welcome to the complete Claude guide. Now let's get stuck in here. This is the complete guide for business owners that I wish I had 6 months ago, 8 months ago, 12 months ago, whenever I started getting interested in Claude. I want to promise something right off the bat. There will be no jargon, no hype, just installing this into your business, into the real world. I couldn't even give you hype if I wanted to. So yeah, there's nothing worse when you watch these videos and they just ramble on and use jargon. I couldn't even use jargon. I am a business operator. I grow businesses. I love marketing. However, I love Claude as well. So I couldn't even give you tech jargon and speaking all these code if I wanted to, right? I'm a business owner and I know how to get shit done and install stuff into businesses. So let's get stuck in. This full document here will be available in the link below in the comments in the description. It will be inside the Claude with Chris group. Let me just stretch it out a little bit so you can see it. This is it here, Claude with Chris group. There's a whole bunch of other freebie stuff in there. It's completely free. You can go in and grab it, so you'll get this document along with a whole other bunch of free resources. So let's get stuck in here. How to use this guide. So I'm going to go as fast as I can. You can press pause. You can put me on 1.2x speed if you can understand my accent. But I would rather go fast so that you can then just adapt to that, okay? And I want to make this as actionable as possible for you, so it's not just going to be you listening and watching. I would prefer that you watch one chapter and then move on to, and then go and implement the thing, and then come back and do the next part, okay? Do not add this to another list of your never-ending resources that you've downloaded and accessed and watched and not implemented. So let's get stuck in. Just want to make sure I move this slightly so it's better for you to see. That looks good. So how to use this guide. So this guide's the companion to the video. Everything you see on the screen lives in here, plus the prompts to copy, the steps to follow, and the checklist at the end of each chapter, okay? You'll get more out of this video if you've got this doc open alongside it. Scroll as I scroll, pause where I pause, and do the work with me. You watch this video once or twice, you'll come back to this guide dozens of times, right? So we've got 8 chapters, 2 phases. Phase 1 with chapters 1 to 3 is you setting up Claude properly. If you're watching the first few chapters and you're like, I've already done this, just skip ahead, it's all good. We're going to look at your account, your settings, your prompts, and by the end of chapter 3, you'll have done real work in Claude. Phase 2, chapters 4 to 8, this is where you install Claude into your business. And I'm throwing a bonus here because, like I say, I'm a business owner and I want you to grow your business, make money from doing this. I don't want to just show you how to set up Claude. I want to show you our strategy that we use inside businesses to help them stand out in a crowded market and get clients, customers, and then keep them and create recurring revenue, more profits, insanely profitable with a small team. So that's the find, fill, hold framework that we use. And I want you to take your Claude and turn it into that, because let's face it, everybody watching this wants to find new customers, wants to fill their pipelines, and wants to keep new customers and keep sending them up and creating opportunities for more lifetime value within those customers and clients. Then we're going to build your first proper project, then what to do next after that. So there's one rule. Every chapter ends with you having done something real. Let me just get this zoom just right so that I'm not jarringly zooming in and out for you. I think 175 would be good. Yeah, that should be good. And I'll just move this over a little bit. Should be good to go. So, no, we're not, because it's too zoomed in for you. There we are. That should be you. Perfect. And then I'll just fix this. There we are. Okay, one rule. Every chapter ends with you having done something real, not learned something abstract, done real work with Claude in your actual business. If you don't do the bits where I tell you to stop and do them, the course won't work, or the course or the training or everything I'm teaching just won't work, because it will just gather internet dust. So, chapter 1, your first hour with Claude. Get Claude set up and do one real task. In the next hour, you'll go from having never properly used Claude to getting real work done inside it. This isn't a demo or a test, real work from your actual business. We'll set the account up, walk through where everything lives, then run one task together. By the end, you'll have saved yourself 30 to 60 minutes on something you were going to do today anyway. So number 1, context, what Claude actually is. Claude's a reasoning tool. It reads, thinks, and writes. That's its job. What it doesn't do by default is browse the web, post to social media, click buttons inside your CRM, send emails on your behalf. It's not a magic employee. It's a very good thinker you can hand work to. Once you treat it like that, everything else will make sense. So number 2 is the setup, which plan to get. You've got 3 options, pick one and move on. You've got Pro at £18 a month. That's what most people need, to be honest. It's enough usage for daily work, access to projects. This is the one to get. You've got the Max at 90 or the even higher one at £180. I think it's about $200 a month. If you're using Claude for hours a day, most people don't need it yet, but you can upgrade later if you hit the Pro limits. You get Team at $25 a month per seat. If colleagues need shared projects, you can skip this unless you've got a team ready to use it. Get Pro, stop deliberating. You'll know within a month if you need to move up. In some cases, you'll probably know within 3-4 days if you follow a lot of the stuff that I've got inside the Skool group. So sign up, takes about 90 seconds, Claude.ai. Where Claude lives, there's 4 surfaces, 1 to start with. You don't need to master all 4 today, just know what's there. Number 1, web, so literally the browser at Claude.ai. It's the fastest to get to. It's fine for most tasks. 2, desktop app for Mac or Windows. It's faster, better for longer sessions. Highly recommend you just get this for your laptop or your Mac. Number 3, mobile app on iOS and Android. This is good for quick tasks on the go. They've added a thing called Dispatch and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd highly recommend you get it on your phone. Projects inside web and desktop, where the real work happens. We covered a great thing with Claude Brain, how you can install your full Claude Brain inside your projects. I highly recommend it. So for the rest of this chapter, we're staying on the web. Go to Claude.ai and log in right now. First prompt, pick one real task. Don't test Claude with a toy example. Pick something you were actually going to do today anyway. 3 options if you need a prompt: a client email you haven't written yet, a document you need to summarize, a proposal outline for a live lead that's outstanding. Pick one, open a new chat and tell Claude what you want. The way you'd tell a capable colleague, send it. And then just read what comes back. So pause the video here, do this bit, don't watch me do it yourself. Go and think of a lead that you have to follow up with. Go and use Claude to, give it the context of that conversation and tell you what to say. So moving on, I'm going to assume you've done that. Number 5, the one fix. So why your first result was probably bad. If the output that you got there felt generic, wooden or off, it's completely normal and it's not Claude's fault, right? Most people give Claude about 10% of the information they'd give a colleague. Think about this, right? You're sitting there with a work colleague. You wouldn't just say to them, give me 5 pieces of content and expect that colleague to give you like amazing pieces of content, would you? No, you'd probably say to them, look, can you create content for me this month? The goal of this month is that we want to drive sales to this new thing that we've got, this new offer. And one of our ways to get people into that offer is we've got a new lead magnet. I think the lead magnet's going to be great. We have got an email list. We've got an Instagram following. We have got LinkedIn followers and connections. I'd love for us to tackle all 3 of those channels. X, Y, blah, blah, blah. You can see, you get my picture here. That's what you would say to a colleague or someone you're hiring as your marketing lead or whatever. So you have to think like that. Like people just say that, like ChatGPT is rubbish, Claude's rubbish. It's like, well, you wouldn't talk to a human like that. So you need to give it is the context, right? So the fix is 3 things. Before you hit send, you need to add who it's for. So the client, the audience, the reader, the goal of what you want. So what you want to happen after they read it. So this is always something I want you to really drum home is like whenever you're going to speak to Claude or any AI LLM is before you ask it the thing, what do you want to have happen? So a very basic example when we think about like what most people use it for is like, oh, write me social media content. Instead of just saying that, like you will say that in some aspect, but actually say what you want to have happen. I want to get 5 signups on my new offer that is £1,000 and I want them to come from Instagram. Here is my current Instagram setup. I post 3 and see how you start with the end goal in mind and then you start layering it back. And then Claude or any decent AI platform will actually think about your end goal instead of just, okay, give them 5 pieces of content, okay? I want you to always know that. The goal is so crucial. the format, so the length, the tone, how you want it structured, and then rerun the same task with those three added. So whatever I told you to do, maybe it was chasing up a lead that still hasn't replied but said they were going to sign up, do these three and then see what the output is. I guarantee you it's 3, 4, 5, 10 times better, and you'll compare the two outputs against each other. That's the difference between casual Claude and useful Claude right there in one prompt. Here's what it looks like as a before and after. So before, write a follow-up email to a client after a sales call. After, write a follow-up email to Sarah, the marketing director at a 20-person SaaS company. We had a 30-minute call yesterday where she said her team's spending too long on content planning and she wants to explore whether Claude can help. The goal is to get her to book a 20-minute follow-up call next week where I'll walk her through a working content project. The format is a short email under 150 words, conversational tone, UK English, end with a specific call to action and 2 suggested times. Same job, completely different result. The difference is context, goal, format in that order. We're coming back to this in chapter 3 and turning it into a shape you can reuse for any prompt. For now, remember this, more context always wins. So moving on, 4 things to check off on number 6 here is you've done 4 things in this chapter. Check each one off before chapter 2. So you've signed up for Claude Pro, you've logged into Claude.ai, you've completed one real task from your workday, and you've rerun the same task with context, goal, and format added. If you haven't done all 4, stop the video and do them now. The rest of the course assumes that you have. Okay, I'll take a quick drink of water and we will move on to the next part, which is chapter 2, the 3 settings that change everything. So we have projects, styles, and memory. If you've only ever used Claude in regular chats, you've been using about 10% of what it actually does. This chapter covers the 3 settings that separate casual users from operators: projects, styles, and memory. Get these configured for your business and Claude stops feeling like a clever chatbot and starts feeling like a proper tool. By the end of this chapter, you'll have 3 working projects built for the 3 jobs that you do most often. So, number 1, projects. Why every recurring job needs its own. A regular chat is a one-off conversation. Open it, ask it something, close it, gone. Please remember that. A regular chat is a one-off conversation. You open it, you ask something, you close it, gone. A project is a persistent workspace. It remembers the context, the files, the instructions, and the tone every time you come back. Now, it's worth mentioning Claude does try and remember stuff from chat to chat, but like you cannot rely on it. Maybe further down when you're using, I don't want to get too technical, but there is ways that you can now have it going inside your computer and getting access to everything. The majority of you watching this do not need that right now. But please know that if you get frustrated by Claude that it doesn't remember your context of your business, it's because you're not speaking to it in projects. You're just randomly going into chats and it's trying to guess who, like what you're like and who you are. Trust me, it won't. And the most practical way is to set up your projects. If you do something more than once, it belongs in a project. So for example, sales. You're always probably going to go back and ask for feedback on your sales calls, add for feedback on your scripts, whatever you're speaking to potential prospects about and you want a second opinion. That's a project called sales. It's that simple, right? And I'm going to show you how to set it up and stuff. So there's 3 pieces inside every project. The knowledge, which is the files, the docs, and reference material Claude reads every time. You've got the instructions, which is how Claude should behave in this project specifically. And then you've got the chats. Now this is the conversation inside the project, which is all saved together. When you open a project, Claude already knows everything you've loaded in. You don't need to re-explain yourself every time. That's the whole point, okay? So your first project built live. Set one up in under 10 minutes and we can build together. Pick a job you do at least weekly. Client emails, weekly content, proposals, team updates, monthly reports, something that is recurring. So you go in, create the project. So in Claude, just hit Projects tab, click New Project, give it a clear name, not test or stuff, something like client emails, weekly newsletter. Step 2, add the knowledge. So in here, go to upload anything Claude needs to reference. So for a client email project, that might be past emails you're proud of, your tone guide if you have one, and a list of your services. Your standard sign-off, don't overload it. Just 5 focused files beats 20 general ones. Step 3 is write the instructions. This is the part most people skip. Don't skip this. This is where the project becomes yours. Here's a smarter shape that you can adapt. Starter shape. Start instructions. You're my writing assistant for my client emails. Here's my tone. Boom, boom, boom. Here's my name. That's it. 5 paragraphs. The project knows who it's for, how to sound, what to ask, and what length to hit. Now, it's important to note that inside the Claude Brain, I have a full document on this where we show you how to train up your projects, everything from your business brain, your content and marketing, your sales, your client fulfillment, every project that a business owner would really need. Of course, you might want to set up more. So why Claude sounds generic by default? It's fresh out the box. Claude sounds like a helpful assistant. It's neutral, polite, a bit bland, fine for research, wrong for anything client-facing. The styles fix this. A style tells Claude how to write across everything, not just inside one project. The built-in styles. So Claude ships with a few normal, concise, explanatory, formal. Like, it's better than ChatGPT, but that's the way it acts. They're fine for testing, but don't stop there. Build your own. So your own style. In 2 minutes, click the style selector in any chat, create custom style, paste something like this. Write short, use contractions, be direct, UK English always, no M dashes, no questions as hooks, no jargon, no filler, no leverage as a verb. Show the result first, the tool second, use specific numbers over vague claims. Now, to be honest with you, that's a short one, but it's just a starter to get you going. You save it, name it something like Direct UK or House Style. Every new chat from now can use it. Watch the difference on your next prompt. Same question, totally different output. Okay. Memory. What to let Claude remember, what to keep out. So memory is Claude remembering things about how you work across chats. It's useful, but it also needs a rule. So you want to let Claude remember your tone preferences, your industry and the kind of business you run, your team structure, recurring format preferences. Keep out of memory specific client names and deal values. You don't want to keep them going over. Sensitive financials, anything covered by an NDA, passwords, account details, personal info. You can see your memory anytime. Edit it, delete bits, turn it off for a chat if you're working on something sensitive. It's a setting you control, not a black box. Okay. Appreciate I'm going through this quite quick, but I'm sure you can pause it, digest it, have a play about. Just make sure this is actionable. Okay. So the 3 project starter pack. You have build these 3 this week. You've got build one today before you move to chapter 3. So you have client communication. This is for drafting emails, proposals, follow-ups and replies. Load it with your tone, your sign-off and examples. As I said, in here, in the master doc, this covers this in much more detail. You got the client fulfillment tab, which is in more detail. Okay. Content engine. So this is for writing posts, hooks, captions, newsletters. Load it with your brand voice, your audience and content that's performed well. Weekly operations, so summaries, planned, reviews, team updates, load it with your meeting structure. These 3 cover about 70% of the recurring writing most operators do in a week. You think about it, you talk to clients mostly every day, you try and create content every single day, and then operational stuff like summaries, meetings and things, that's your 3 big chunks that could save you a whole bunch of time by just having 3 projects where you're not repeating yourself, okay? By the way, just a pro tip, like for if you help clients, have a project for every client. Like teach it your tone and everything, and honestly just set up a project for every single client, and then whenever you have a one-to-one call with them, just take the transcript and put it straight into the client's section, and over a course of like 60 days it's going to have every meeting with you and your client, every next step, every actionable to-do list, and you can literally go into each one and have a step-by-step for your clients to hold them accountable to the work. So 4 things to check off before we move on to the next chapter. You've got 1 project built, named properly with instructions written, knowledge files uploaded to that project. There's 1 custom style that you've saved. Your memory's been reviewed. Anything you don't want in there, just remove it. You've got 1 project built today, beats 3 projects planned for next week. Just build 1 solid project and be proud of it, okay? Take another drink. And you can pause here and go and do the what we just mentioned. And we'll move on to chapter 3, which is the prompt that shape that always works. So the prompt shape that always works, 1 structure, 5 of your own. I'm going to save you the next 6 months of prompt engineering content. The internet's got 47 prompt engineering frameworks. Most of them are the same thing, right? Dressed up in jargon. You don't need 47. You need one that works. By the end of this chapter, you'll have 5 reusable prompts saved inside your projects, each one tested on real work. So 4 pieces, always in the order. Context, right? Always needs context. Who it's for, what the situation is, and any relevant background. I'm going to tell you this right now, from one business owner to another. Context is the most important thing in the AI era. For you and your clients, for you and your market, for you and AI, context is king. Okay, it's the new like gold for everybody. And those who get good at presenting context to their peers, presenting context to their audience, presenting contents to AI will be the winners. Number 2 is task. What do you want Claude to actually do? Number 3 is format. How do you want the output, length, structure, and medium? Now, I want to jump ahead here a little bit into your Claude journey. What you'll start to see now is people starting to create dashboards and fancy things on Claude, because Claude's just starting to get more clever, and it's really starting to show off to people. Now, the thing is that a lot of users are getting these dashboards created for something so simple. My Claude starts trying to make PDFs and proposals for everything. In other words, just eating up credits for simple things. Even like summarizing a call with a client. The client doesn't need a PDF off the back of a call with me. They just need the next steps, you know, and that's where things are starting to get out of hand a little bit. And so you need to use format not only for it to be digestible and actionable for you and your clients and your prospects, but for it actually to be credit efficient as well. So just be careful of the format. Like if you've been using Claude long enough and you say, hey, I want a 30-day content plan, it'll go away and start trying to create dashboards and stuff sometimes to show off to you, and you'll be like, oh, this is amazing. Like, well, you just ate half your credits for this for what? For something that only you're seeing. It's probably not needed, you know, to some degree. And then constraint. So what to avoid, what matters most, what style to hit. Like I would probably say my strongest with all of this is constraint. Like I've got to a point now where I just know where it's going to go, and I rein it in before it even goes away down a path. One of the most frustrating things with Claude and any AI is that if you give it too much of a leash, it will go down a path, and before you know it, you've wasted 30 minutes on something that should have, if you just weren't lazy at the start. We've all been there. We pick up AI, we voice note it, we send a message in, we just go, do that while I'm doing something else. And you end up giving yourself more work because you just haven't took the time at the start. Right? You haven't given it constraints. So no acronym, no framework name, just these 4 pieces, always in that order. Okay, please remember that. So seen it work, 3 worked examples, 3 common business jobs, lazy version first, and then shape version second, watch the difference. So example 1, client follow-up after a sales call. Lazy version, write a follow-up email for a client I spoke to yesterday. Here's the transcript, right? Here's a better version. I had a discovery call yesterday with James, MD of a 40-person recruitment agency. He wants to explore using Claude to speed up candidate shortlisting. Follow-ups due today. Task, draft the follow-up email. Format, under 150 words. Conversational. Specific next step with 2 time options. Constraint, UK English. No. None of this, I hope this finds you well jargon. And end with a clear call to action. Done. Now, by the way, see this here? You can drill this into your project anyway, so it always does it. And if you get lazy, it'll just say to you, what's the context, Chris? What's the task? Okay, what's the format? What's the constraint? It'll never, you could actually train your project not to do anything until it's asked you the 4 things. Maybe you just prefer to voice note all 4 things, and that will tell you, it will prompt you to do that, right? You set your project up like that. Example 2, short weekly newsletter. Lazy version, write me a newsletter about using Claude for business. Boom, here you go, okay? Starting to lose my voice here, so I'm not going to read that out, but you get the picture. And then we have summarising a long document. Boom, here we go. So same jobs, 2 different worlds. The shape does the work, not the cleverness. So here's your 5. Write them now. Pause the video. Open a notes app. List the 5 jobs you find yourself asking Claude for the most often. Common ones, like I said, are client emails or follow-ups, proposal drafts, social media posts or hooks, meeting notes or summaries, weekly or monthly reports. So for each one, write a shape prompt. Save it inside the project from chapter 2. Next week, you won't write a prompt from scratch. You'll tweak the 5 you already have, okay? So when to break this, not every prompt needs it. So use this shape every time for client-facing work, published content, anything getting out to people, right? Business decisions, anything that you'll repeat. You don't have to do it for quick questions, quick brainstorming, okay? One-off brainstorms. It's only you that's going to see it. And if you're just casually asking, like, explain this concept. The shape isn't about Claude being clever enough. It's about you being consistent enough. So before you move on to chapter 4, 3 things you need to check off. Listed your 5 most common Claude jobs. Written a shaped prompt for each of the 5. Saved each prompt inside the right project. Okay, now we're on to chapter 4. We don't have long left, so bear with me. I'll get through these chapters. This is going to be a long video, but you'll break this into 2 or 3 different days, so you'll be all good. Let's move on to chapter 4. This is where it starts to get exciting and you can start to see things in the real world. That's me at chapter 5. Where is chapter 4? Chapter 3. Here we are. Now this is Claude for Find. Now this is obviously my own thing, and this is where I think this would be different from any other Claude video you watch on the internet. I'm actually trying to get you to get clients now, okay? Finding your unique gap in a saturated market so that you can stand out. So Find is where most business owners waste the most time. Claude kills the guessing if you set it up right. Find is the first phase of Find, Fill, Hold, which is my framework for growing businesses. It's how you attract attention, generate leads, and get the right people in your world. It's content, it's research, and it's positioning. You may have seen other videos on in the YouTube channel of me doing positioning, Gymshark, MyProtein, because I truly believe that if you position your company properly, you will never have to chase leads again. So by the end of this chapter, you'll have shipped one real piece of the Find work using Claude, not a draft for later, something published or sent. So what Find actually means. Find, Fill, Hold is 3 phases. Find is attract. So this is where your content, your research, your outreach, and your positioning. So this is the first of the 3-part framework that we do for companies. We come in and we do that for them. You see on the website here, we help businesses in saturated markets do these things. You'll see I've done some here with Under Armour, MyProtein, Gymshark, and it kind of works like this. So we come in, analyze the market, get the market intel, find your position in your market, install AI infrastructure, and of course, sell, make money. Fill is convert, so sales conversations, proposals, closing. Hold is keeping clients. How do you hold clients in for a long time to make them, you never want to leave your service? This is onboarding, SOPs, retention, communication, AI infrastructure. AI infrastructure impacts all 3 because AI does 80% of the heavy lifting for all 3. So this chapter is about Find specifically, where Claude becomes the fastest way to write sharp content, find out what your market wants, and clarify your positioning. So this is where I would love to say to you that like any other Claude video that you watch on the internet will be done by somebody who's Claude heavy. I love Claude. I've got this whole, Claude marketing that I do, but I'm a business growth operator. I grow businesses. So this is where we take teaching you Claude to another level so you can actually make money and build your business. So the shape that stops the scroll, most content dies because it's vague. Claude fixes that if you give it the shape from chapter 3. So here's a worked example, a LinkedIn post. Context, my audience is small to medium business owners with 5 to 50 staff who use Claude to save time on operations. Most have tried ChatGPT and felt it was too generic. Write a 150-word LinkedIn post about projects. The format is the hook first line, 3-line build, 1-line payoff, call to action, asking them to share their use case in the comments. The constraint for the AI is UK English, short sentences, no AI hype, and no questions is hooks. Specific numbers and at least 1 line. Run that, save the prompt. Next week you tweak it for a different topic. You don't start from scratch. Okay? So this could be a project content to find. Research. Finding what your market actually wants. Please do not neglect this. You do not know your market better than they know themselves. Most business owners guess what their market cares about. Claude is a much better guesser if you feed it data. So example, mining your own reviews. Context: I run a coaching business for fitness operators. Below are 25 testimonials and reviews from the last 18 months. Here's your task. Pull out the 5 most common themes grouped by emotion. For each theme, give me a content angle I could turn into a post or video. Give me the format is a theme name, 2-line description, 1 content angle, 1-line reason it would work, a constraint, surface patterns that I would miss, quote specific phrases from the reviews, no generic marketing advice. That's a 20-minute job that would have taken half a day, and it's better research than most agencies deliver. Now, what we do for our companies that we work with is we'll go and run research on Reddit and all of these major like public forums and scrape them all and figure out what the bleeding net problem in that given market is. Then we'll do it again for like the services that have been provided to these people. And by getting all of that, Claude will put it into Claude and we'll find exactly what this market is craving for, and we'll position the product for what they're craving. You know, it's crazy because like I've helped fitness coaches for a long time, and what I think they need is very different from what they publicly say they need, and that just shows you. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather be rich than be right. Right? There's no advantage of you trying to be right. It's what your markets say and how they say it. So, clarifying who you sell, what you sell, and who you sell to. Positioning is where most businesses fail, not because it's hard, but because nobody forces the clarity. Claude does. So in this one prompt here, here's my current positioning statement and my 3 closest competitors' position statement. I want you to stress test mine. What's weak? What's vague? What's generic? Where do I sound the same as everybody else? And then so you get the format here. So you're going to paste your positioning. Before you move on, don't forget to don't move to chapter 5 until you've published one thing. Anything, a post, a positioning statement, a piece of research turned into a content idea. Please do this before you move on, right? It's so funny, like when I like listen to my clients, your clients are aware, so they kind of tell you what they think, and then they tell you what you want to hear, or they think what they think you want to hear. So you're never really getting fresh new perspective. You're always just getting your clients and then speaking to prospects. But there's a whole other world out there of unaware people that just don't even know what to think or feel about your particular product, right? So if you leave this chapter without publishing one thing, you didn't do the chapter. You just watched it. You didn't do it, right? So I want you to go away and do the things I've just said using Claude. Scrape, tell it to go and find you exactly what your market's bleeding neck problems are and go and do a piece of content on it. So before we move to chapter 5, this is what you should check off. Drafted a piece of content using the shape that I showed you. Run research on your market using Claude. Stress tested your positioning. Published or sent one piece of find work. Next is Claude for the fill element of this framework. So this is where we've got people, we've got attention. Now we need to convert that attention. So we think about like you send proposals or you send your prices to people. Proposals kill more deals than pricing ever will. Fill is the conversion layer. Someone in your world, now what? How do we take the sales conversation, the proposals, the follow-up, and actually close them? Now, as we know, this is the part that business owners hate, and it's the part where Claude almost embarrassingly useful, like so useful. It's like your best business pal you'll ever have. So by the end of this chapter, you'll have drafted one real client-facing sales asset using Claude, not a template, a real one for a real lead. So, sales conversations, scripts that don't sound like scripts. The enemy of a good sales script is one that doesn't sound like one. Use Claude to sharpen the thinking, then speak the lines in your own voice, right? So this is discovery call openers, right? I am no sales expert, but I can guarantee you Claude's better than you and I by 100 times when it's used properly. So, like I said, there's the prompt there. So the structure that closes, proposals lose deals because they're unclear, too long, or they miss what the buyer actually cares about. This fix is a tight structure. Right, the 5-part proposal shape. The problem, what they told you they were trying to solve in their own words. You know, when a prospect tries to tell you something and you as the business owner, who's the big, all-knowing and all-seeing business owner, translates what they say and then says it back to them in your words, and then you think they should understand it. That's not how it works. You're meant to say it in their words with their understanding so that they know that you're listening and they know you get what their problem is. Some business owners take the problem articulated by the prospect, fancy it all up, and say it back to them and go, does that make sense? Like, no. What made sense is when I said it, right? The outcome, so what success looks like in their terms, not yours. The approach, how you'll get them there, short, specific, no jargon. And then the scope, what's included, what's not, what the timeline looks like. The investment, so the price, options if you have them, and next step. Load past proposals you're proud of into your sales project. So in your sales project, if you've got past proposals that have absolutely landed with big companies and big, ideal clients, paste them in, get them to scrutinize it, see what parts of it you love, and then it will take that and update its memory, right? Then we move on to objection handling. I appreciate I'm giving you a bit of a sales crash course here, but this is alongside Claude to make sure that you're actually going to make money from this, watching this video. So turning hesitation into clarity. Objections aren't rejections. They're the client telling you something in the conversation didn't land. So using Claude as a sparring partner. I just got this objection from a warm lead after sending my proposal. We'd love to work together, but the timing isn't right. Maybe Q2 next year, right? And you're going to look at how you can respond to that. Most not now objections are really, I need one more reason to start today. So for a real lead, not a template, not a pretend one, a real one. If you don't have a live lead, write one for the last lead that you lost, and then you've got it ready for next time. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to draft a full asset today. So drafted sale openers are follow-ups for a real conversation. Draft a proposal using the 5-part shape that I showed you, right? Use this. Put together a proposal using Claude for a prospect who's sitting in your DMs or your emails in limbo land. Use Claude to go and create this proposal, right? And then prepared objections, responses for a specific lead. Muscle memory doesn't build on imaginary work. So moving on to chapter 6 here, we have Claude for the hold element or find, fill, hold. Keep and work with Claude. Hold is where the money is. Retention is cheaper than acquisition. It compounds. As you probably know, I'm a big fan of monthly recurring revenue, and that's what holding your clients is. So that's the retention layer. It's onboarding, communications, check-ins, renewals, SOPs, the invisible work that clients keep paying for. This is the phase most businesses ignore and where most of their losses come from, because it's not as sexy, it's not as shiny as sales. You know, how many sales experts out there do you know? You could name 10 household names now. Can you name any retention experts? Probably not. That just goes to show you. So the onboarding element, the first 30 days, decide renewal, right? New clients churn fastest in the first month, not because your work's bad, because the onboarding's vague. A proper onboarding flow fixes that. The 4 email onboarding shape. So this is welcome, kick-off questions, first week plan, first month's check-in, and you can obviously build this into your project as well for onboarding. Now, I want you to really scrutinise your onboarding, and only you knows the context of your business. I want you to just think about how you can get more wow factor into your onboarding, because it gets quite stale. You don't have to go too overcomplicated with it. In fact, onboarding is all about getting the whelm just right. So you don't want to overwhelm people or underwhelm them. You just want to get that whelm just right. But obviously, if you get people winning in the first 14 days, it's also a great time to ask for a referral and do they know anybody else? So you can bake that in as well, right? So moving on to SOPs, turning how you work into systems. So SOPs are the difference between a business that runs and a business that's run by the owner's memory, right? I can't tell you how many business owners I meet and everything's up here. It's all there, and they wonder why they're stressed out and can't take time off without feeling guilty. It's because everything's up there. They have no processes. They have no standard operating procedures. And if I took the keys to their business tomorrow, there wouldn't be anything for me to follow because it's all in their mind. And while they're at the beach sipping cocktails, nobody would get results and no sales would be made because there's no operating procedures. Okay. Most small medium businesses don't have SOPs because writing them feels like a long week project. Claude's just made it a 20-minute job, right? Here's the voice note method you're going to love. Record a voice note talking through the process, start to end. Transcribe it using any transcription tool, but you can just go into Claude and do it anyway. You won't have as long as a transcription tool, but you can have enough. Paste the transcript into Claude with the prompt below. Review, tweak, and save. So go to walk and just say, this is what happens, and I mean every step of it. One of the things Hamose talks about is like, workflows isn't just now the way forward. Workflows is the thing that we will use to audit businesses. So if you've got a video edit, for example, it's about laying out every part of the workflow and then seeing where a human steps in And for it to build a profitable business in the AI era, you're going to have to make sure AI does a ton before the human steps in. And then maybe even, it hands back off to the AI. That's how you keep profits very, very high. So record yourself doing the thing, paste the transcript in, ask for a clean SOP. Done. Please build your business as if you're going to hire someone who's going to take 50% share tomorrow and come into your business and cover your days off. Because see, when you build your business like that, it's incredibly efficient and you'll find so many holes. Not only that, you'll grow it as well. Don't build your business if it's always going to be you. It might be, but build it so efficiently with operating procedures that makes it airtight. You'll be proud of it. So moving on to client communication, this is the invisible compounding work. Weekly client updates, monthly reviews, quarterly renewals, the communication that keeps clients feeling looked after without eating up your week and spending too much time in the trenches, right? You can see here, that's the prompt. So before you move on, again, pick one. I want you to do onboarding, an SOP or a client communication template, build it, use it this week with a real client. 3 things to check off before we move on to chapter 7. You've drafted an onboarding sequence or one onboarding email. You've built one SOP from a voice note or process that you run. You've written a reusable client communication template. 1 weekly update used for a year is 52 emails that stopped you from losing a client. Okay, get a little drink here as we move on to chapter 7. So building your first Claude project. A project is a workspace you've taught to do one specific job at your standard. That's the difference between Claude as a tool and Claude as a system. If you only watch chapters 1, 2, 3, and 7, you still win. Everything else is application. This chapter is where casual users become operators. By the end, you have one fully configured project running one real recurring job in your business, not a test, real work every week inside the project. So, 2 rules for your first proper project. It has to be something you do every week or more. It has to be something you'd happily hand to a capable assistant if you had one. Good examples, as I've mentioned throughout this video, weekly newsletter or content planning, client onboarding, proposal drafting, weekly client updates. Bad first projects. Strategic planning is too variable. Quarterly reports are not frequent enough. Anything you're not sure about yourself, okay? That's what a lot of people do with Claude. They go in and talk about stuff that take Claude that they don't even know themselves. And I know you want to learn, but you've still got all these operational things that are a mess. Fix them first, okay? So pick something you do every week. You'll feel the savings by Friday. The master document idea. A proper project isn't, here's some files. It's a structured master document that teaches Claude everything it needs to do this job as your standard. What goes in, your brand voice notes, how you sound, past examples of your work you're proud of, audience definition, who this is for, who it's not, the job's goal, what done well actually looks like, common constraints, as we mentioned, referencing material. If you're serious about this, watch my Claude Brain video next. It goes deep on the master document approach. The template lives in the Skool group. As I've mentioned multiple times, it's right here. You come in, you get your master document, you fill this out once. Whenever you then get big breakthroughs in business and life and new team members and anything substantial, refill this out, go to your projects, delete the other one, put the new master doc in, and you will always have context in your projects. So, they always do this, never do that later. Project instructions override Claude's defaults inside this project. They're the difference between Claude being helpful in general and Claude being reliably excellent at the specific job. There's 4 parts of good instructions. Identity, who Claude is inside the project. Example, you're my writing assistant. The job, the style, and the constraints. I'm not going to go into this too much because it covers it all here in this particular training. Just didn't want to miss it out. So a project isn't done when you build it. It's done when you've tested it on 3 or 4 real tasks and refined the instructions based on what Claude gets wrong. The refinement loop. Run a real task through the project. Notice what's off. What would you fix? And so on. So now we have the handover test. Could someone else on your team use it? A test of a good project isn't whether it works for you. It's whether it would work for someone else on your team or for future picking it up in 3 months without reloading everything. So for example, you have a project with content that's going amazing, you've set it all up, and you just decide, you know what, I'm going to get a team member to do this for me so we can amplify it by 10 or by 20. Maybe you want someone to do the posting on social media for you, but you are very protective over the actual content. You've got a VA or something like that, You know, in the future, you can just use Claude to actually go and post it for you as well. But let's say that as an example. You want to make sure it's airtight. The way I look at building these is like, what if this team member couldn't talk to me while they do it and implement it? So they couldn't answer me questions. Could they actually go through with it? And it's like, if the answer is yes, then it's an airtight operating procedure. Okay. So before you move on to chapter 8, 5 things to check off. You've picked one recurring job to build a project around. You've loaded the project with the right context. You've written instructions with identity, job, style, and constraints. You've tested it on 3 real tasks and refined. You've passed the handover test or identified what's missing. Most of the real gains come from 2 or 3 very well built projects, not 30 mediocre ones. Okay, we are here for the final chapter, ready to rock. Chapter 8, what to do in week 2. If you've done what I've shown you, you've done more than 90 minutes than most business owners do with AI in their first year. Trust me. This is the chapter's the retention chapter. Most courses end with congratulations. That's exactly when people lose momentum. This one ends with a 30-day plan for you, okay? You'll know what to build next, what to leave alone, and how to use the community from here in the Skool group. My honest checklist, okay? Short audit. Go down here, tick them off. In the next 30 days, you've got your SOP project, which is your highest leverage. You've got your content engine project. You've got your sales project. Build all of that. Honestly, this could be done in 7 days if you really want to just do it. What not to try yet? 5 things that will waste your first month if you let them. Trying to build a chatbot for your website before you've built any internal projects. Chasing the latest model announcement instead of what you've actually got in front of you and what I'm teaching you. Building a complete business operating system instead of 3 solid projects. Outsourcing prompt writing before learning the shape yourself. Trying 15 different AI tools instead of just going deep on one. Like I said, 3 solid projects beats 30 half-built ones every single time. So you've got the Skool group. This community is not where I sell you extra stuff. It's where you go and you've outgrown the basics and you want depth. The master document, pre-built projects are in there. Find, fill, hold playbooks. We'll be soon adding a weekly live call in there. And yeah, your 30-day review. Ask yourself these questions as you get to the end of it. And that is it. We've got the Claude Brain, as I've mentioned several times, and your final 4 days to take off. Okay, I appreciate that was a lot to get through. What is the time on? We're on almost 50 minutes. So that's it. What I'd love to do now is make sure you head over to Claude With Chris and get yourself in the group and go and get more Claude freebies. If you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe. The link is in the description below, and I'll see you